Knight Kim Sherry, Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, 147. Sharp Damon Lee, New Open Non-Political Organised Leadership, 45. Thomas Benjamin Scott, commonly known as Ben, Green Party, 368. Webb Christopher Paul, commonly known as Chris, Labour Party, 10,825. The number of ballot papers rejected is as follows. Did not bear the official mark, 0. Voting for more than one candidate, 16. Writing unmarked by which the voter could be identified, 0. Unmarked or void for uncertainty, 57. I declare that Christopher Paul Webb is duly elected as the Member of Parliament for the Blackpool South constituency.
So that's an emphatic victory for Mr Webb. You can see he's got his speech ready here. This is Chris Webb, the new MP for Blackpool South.
The people of Blackpool South have spoken for Britain. They have said to Rishi Sunak and to the Conservatives they've had enough. They've had enough for 14 years of the Conservatives being in power. They have lost trust of the British people, and Blackpool has had enough of this failed government which has crashed the economy, destroyed our public services and put up taxes. They have said that it's time for change, and that change started here in Blackpool tonight. Only Labour offers new hopes for towns like Blackpool. We need change, and we will get it under a Labour government. I want to thank the returning officer, my election agent, Liam Didsbury, election staff and the police for the smooth running of this election and count. I know it takes a lot of work to put this on, so I thank you for your professionalism, your commitment to the democratic process. I'd also like to thank my entire campaign team and the wider Labour movement. Blackpool South is the 23rd parliamentary by-election of this Parliament, and it's down to each and every one of you for your sacrifices that have made sure we've turned Blackpool South red once again. And thank you to my amazing family who have given me endless support over the years, and to my incredible wife Portia for all her support and sacrifices she's made, especially in these last few weeks, and looking after our newborn son Killian. And thank you to my mum, dad and sister watching in Australia who have supported me all these years. Above all though, I'd like to thank the people of Blackpool South who have put their trust in me to be the next Member of Parliament. It's a huge privilege to represent the seat that I call home and have been born and bred in, where we've not had a local MP for 60 years. The circumstances that led to this by-election have been well documented. I believe many people in Blackpool have been left with little faith in politicians because of the behaviour of others. To them I say I'm humbled by your support, that every ward in this town voted for me. Whether you voted for me or not though, I promise to work for you every day to earn your trust and restore the faith in politics. I promise I won't let you down. I have said this all along, that I am in it for Blackpool, and I mean it. I will put the priorities of this town first and fight for residents in Westminster and challenge this government to get a better deal for Blackpool. I have spoken to so many during this campaign and had the same conversations. People are fed up because nothing seems to work anymore, hard up because of the Conservative cost of living crisis, but instead of giving up, they got up and voted for change with Labour. It is not acceptable that Blackpool has the highest crime rate in Lancashire, with neighbourhood police officers cut by 43%. It's not acceptable that the Conservatives have allowed some parts of our town to be run down without a plan to rejuvenate them. And it's not acceptable that in Blackpool South, in parts, more children live in poverty because of the decisions this government have made. People in Blackpool South and across the country are sick of the government's failure and to tackle the big issues facing our country. In this election, we offered a plan for Blackpool that was positive. A plan to put more police on the streets, deliver the regeneration our town needs and help hard-working families through the cost of living crisis. Only Keir Starmer's Labour Party has the vision and the ideas to make life better for everyone in our country. Change is what people want, and up and down the country, Labour is the party they're looking for to deliver it. Blackpool South has said that loud and clear tonight. The message to the Prime Minister is that we need a general election sooner the better. People no longer trust the Conservatives. Prime Minister, do the decent thing. Admit you've failed and call a general election. Give the people of Britain the same opportunity people in Blackpool South have, a Labour Member of Parliament and Keir Starmer in Downing Street. And let Labour get on with delivering the change the people of Britain want and deserve. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you to the people of Blackpool South.
So that is Chris Webb, the new Member of Parliament for Blackpool South, winning the by-election for Labour. He said voters have had enough of Rishi Sunak. It is time for change, he said, and that change has started here in Blackpool tonight. We need change and we will get it under a Labour government. He went on to say that many in Blackpool have little faith in politicians, so I say I'm humbled by your support. Admit you failed, Prime Minister, and call a general election. Well, John Craig is in Blackpool South with the winning candidate. John.
Mr Webb, many, many congratulations. A pretty resounding victory there. You got coming not far off 11,000, 10,825. Tories just scraped in second. 3,218, March Butcher for Reform 3,101. I make that a majority of 7,607. Pretty overwhelming result, and I thought a very passionate speech there, and a very political speech in fact there, and you punched your chest there. It was a bit like a Premiership footballer when he scores a goal there.
Well, I've never been good at football, more rugby.
I see. But clearly it was, I mean, you talked about your own, your background here in Blackpool and many of the issues here. What are you going to make your priorities when you get to Parliament?
So for me, the cost of living crisis has damaged so many people here in Blackpool South. People are struggling to make ends meet, so that's got to be my top priority. Second is going to be getting more police on the streets. Crime and antisocial behaviour is rampant in Blackpool. We need to tackle that. And I also need to regenerate our high streets and get new well-paid jobs for the people of Blackpool.
Do you think this was about Labour's programme or about the unpopularity of the Conservative government?
People want change, and they were listening to Labour. They want change with Labour, and they want to see Keir Starmer in number 10.
But what about the Conservatives? You just said to do the decent thing, Mr Sunak, and call a general election. When you were knocking on doors, when you were canvassing, when you were taking part in hustings and so on, what was the reaction? What were people saying about the Conservatives?
They're fed up and they want change. Lifelong Conservatives voted for me in this election and Labour because they want that change. So many are crying out for a Labour government, and Rishi Sunak needs to admit he's failed and call a general election.
You had a lot of support from the party leader, of course. He came here twice, and other shadow cabinet members. A well-run campaign, it seemed. No slip-ups, no gaffes, no mistakes on the way. Very professional campaign. But just tell our viewers, what's your background? You're not. I don't think you're a local councillor, are you? No. What's your background? How have you got to becoming a parliamentary candidate?
So I'm someone who's Blackpool born and bred. I care passionately about my town. For the last decade, I've been fighting to tackle child poverty. I do volunteering with the food bank, and I'm chair of trustees for Blackpool's Charity of the Year and mental health charity Council in the Community. So I care passionately about the community issues in my town and wanting to do better.
And are you a long-time Labour Party member, or joined quite recently?
No, I joined at 15 because I saw that my town does better under Labour governments than it does Conservative governments. I remember as a kid being taught in porta cabins. I then went to a state-of-the-art secondary school under Labour, and now kids are being taught in porta cabins again. That's why Blackpool needs Labour.
You paid a nice tribute to your wife, Portia, and you've just had a baby. Tell us about that.
Yes, so Killian's 12 weeks old. It's been a challenge, but he's been out on the doorstep with me. It's been great, you know, being a first-time dad. I've got an incredible wife who's been hugely supportive, and we're just overjoyed with our new addition to the family.
Big change in your life about to happen, isn't it? Travelling down to Westminster every week.
Definitely, but it's one we're ready to hit the ground running with. I've got an incredible family that's going to support us and ready for the challenges that await.
One challenge that awaits, of course, is defending this seat in the general election, yes, whenever that comes. Now, you've just challenged the Prime Minister to call it sooner rather than later. How do you feel about having to go through all this campaign all over again?
More than happy to, because the people of this country need a Labour government. They're crying out for it. Blackpool South, you know, residents have shown they want a Labour government, and I'm ready to deliver that and play my part whenever it's ready.
Mr Webb, thank you for talking to Sky News.
Thank you.
And many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So there you have Mr Webb talking to Sky News, and I'll just move away. I think Mr Webb's probably going to talk to some other broadcasters, I'm not sure. Anyway, so you heard what he had to say in his interview there. Interesting, he's just become a father. He also mentioned during his speech his parents are in Australia. But clearly a very political campaign, talking about attacking the government's record, talking about how the voters here are fed up with the Tories, he claims. It's worth perhaps just, Jonathan, just looking back at those numbers. During the course of the evening, Reform thought they might sneak into second place. That didn't happen. You'll have seen the numbers. So just to recap, it was 10,825 for Mr Webb, David Jones 3,218, and then Mark Butcher just behind on 3,101. It looks as though actually the Lib Dems just beat the Greens, and then some independent candidates. But Labour will be very pleased with this. It's a good result for them. And of course, coming along with their local government results, Labour will think this is a good night. Earlier, Pat McFadden, the Labour campaign chief, said that this was the most important election of the night. I'm just spotted Mr Butcher, actually. Mr Butcher, come over here, sir. Hello. This is Mark Butcher. We spoke to him a little earlier on. He's the Reform UK candidate. You didn't quite hit the Tories into second place. How do you feel about your performance? Better or worse, or about what you expected?
It was close, wasn't it? Very, very close. I'd like to say that we could have gone second, but look, they think this is a record for Reform UK. This is a record by-election, so that's, for me, that's very exciting, and it's just the beginning for me.
When you say it's a record, do you mean in terms of percentage or number of votes?
Yes, in percentage. I think it's a record for Reform UK.
Yeah. And what do you mean? What do you think this means for Reform UK as we approach a general election?
Well, it says we're in the race, doesn't it? We're here, aren't we? And well, we've made a massive statement here tonight, haven't we?
Are you going to fight this seat at the general election?
Absolutely. Okay. And we've got more time to get ready for that one. We only had 5 weeks for this, so it's been a bit tricky. But certainly now we'll be focusing on the general election. I have to agree with Mr Webb and say to Mr Sunak, you know, as soon as possible, let's have a general election.
Mr Butcher, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. So that's Mark Butcher, who was narrowly beaten into third place by the Conservative David Jones. I'm not sure if Mr Jones is still around here, but anyway, I'll hand back to you for now, Jonathan.